Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Ripple CEO cleverly shows XRP in his RLUSD listing message. Okay guys, let's get into it. Okay, so on the surface this looks like really great news, but there is just one little caveat that I am going to put into here. And obviously, once again guys, I am an XRP holder. I just want to show you exactly what's going on, because I know on the surface this sounds really great, but there's one little part in it that, you know, straight away had my antennas up. So I was a bit like, okay, let's like kind of have a conversation about this. And plus I just want the, you know, I want the community to really understand what's going on, because obviously you can see these headlines at times and it sounds great at the beginning, but this is why it's about just doing a bit of digging and, you know, really finding out the inner details about these kind of things so we can really understand what's really going on. So let's first and foremost just get into what Brad was saying in terms of the, you know, showing the XRP in terms of the listing. So it was basically announced by Binance that they were going to now be listing RLUSD on its platform. Yay, great news. And Brad basically put a message where he put extremely positive news, I think it was. And basically he basically put some of the letters in capital. So in the extremely, he done a capital X. He also put the capital R, and then when the positive, he put a capital P. So basically, obviously, if you look at the capital letters in that sentence, you can see XRP stand out as the capital letters. So yeah, real nice there. That's a nice little touch in terms of what they're saying. And as I say, I'm not saying that this is a definite, but it's just something that caught my eye. So obviously, we're thinking RLUSD is coming to the platform. Now, some people will be skeptical anyway, because I know a lot of people are thinking, well, they're already worried about RLUSD's role in terms of like taking over XRP and that kind of thing. Again, I understand it. I've kind of explained my thoughts on it already. I don't think overall it's going to replace it, but yeah, I do think RLUSD is going to be used in certain aspects over XRP, and we can see that, right? That's just evident. It does still benefit the XRP to some degree, because the XRP ledger is still being utilized and it is still burning XRP, because XRP is being used as the gas token. But this is where I wanted to point out this little caveat that I've got within this news. So it says here, RLUSD will commence trading on Binance on January 22nd, with withdrawals slated to begin the following day. Initial support for RLUSD will be on the Ethereum blockchain, with the XRPL integration expected later. Garlinghouse's reaction to Binance's official listing of RLUSD included a stylistic reference to XRP. Ripple's actions continue to reinforce XRP's foundational role in the company's long-term vision. Okay, so this is my thing though. So let's go back to what I said earlier. The second point, initial support for RLUSD will be on the Ethereum blockchain, with the XRPL integration expected later. So my thing with this is, first and foremost, of course, it's that the RLUSD they're using is on Ethereum, which means basically this is really doing nothing for XRP. And then, yes, they have put XRPL integration expected later, but there's no clear date. And so while I will take that at face value right now, I'm just kind of like, well, when later? Like, why not on both chains on the same date? Why is it a thing of, you know, we'll put it on Ethereum now? Well, I'm saying why, but I get why. I know why. It's because Ethereum is the bigger blockchain. So they're using Ethereum because it's the bigger network. But, you know, like, I just, when I see this, I just hope that we do get official confirmation in terms of a date for the XRP ledger RLUSD to be utilized as well. Because if this is just going to be the Ethereum RLUSD that's being utilized, then this is going to do nothing for XRP. It's just that simple. This is going to do literally nothing for XRP. The only thing I could really say in some way, shape or form that it could help is if the revenue earned from the stablecoin gives Ripple more money, and then they can use that money to try and, you know, do more things with XRP or try and think of new use cases for XRP, that kind of thing. And so, yeah, look, I don't want to be too pessimistic here, because it does say that the XRPL will be integrated later. I just thought the wording was a little bit interesting. You know, like first and foremost, the fact that it is being done at a later date, that's kind of straight away got me like, okay, why does it need to be done at a later date? And two, why is there no date for when they'll integrate into XRP? Like, why have you not said, for example, okay, January 22nd, it'll be for Ethereum, RLUSD, but then, you know, within the next week or, you know, by the 28th of January, we'll have, you know, RLUSD on XRP. I just find that a bit like, okay. It kind of looks like, just going by this point here, XRPL is a bit of an afterthought, just being honest. And so, yeah, look, at the end of the day, this is definitely a win in the sense of they have got RLUSD on the biggest trading platform. That's huge. And so long as they do integrate, you know, XRPL eventually, and when I say eventually, I'm hoping sooner rather than later, because, you know, look, the thing is, yes, Ethereum is the bigger network, but I'm assuming like people will realize how much cheaper it is to do it on the XRPL in terms of fees. They're going to choose to do it on the XRP ledger anyway, unless they're going with like the tribalism thing. Because I've noticed this before, like when I was in the previous bull run, there was a token called AVAX, right? Avalanche. And I was utilizing that platform quite a lot, quite a good network, I will just say. And there was two ways you could do fees, right? So you could do it as like, I don't know if it was ERC, but there was two ways. So you could do it in one way. Let's just go, for example, it was ERC. So let's say it was like ERC 45, for example, or you could transfer AVAX using, let's say it's called CNBC 20, right? Let's just say either one of those. Now the ERC 45 one was like really expensive, but the CNBC was like, that one was cheap. So it's kind of like the same equivalent, I'd assume. So for example, if, you know, someone was to want to trade a crypto into a stablecoin, so let's just say they're going to go into RLUSD, and they say, well, what network do you want it on? If you do Ethereum, you'll have to acknowledge that, okay, I'm going to have to pay a higher fee for this. It's going to be a higher gas fee. Whereas if you do it into the XRP ledger, it's going to be minuscule, right? So realistically, the XRP ledger will most likely be their choice, unless it's just a, you know, being stubborn and being very, very tribal about it. So at the end of the day, like, I don't know, like, I do want to take the victory, but I will say this, because I've always been honest with you guys, like, you guys need to get the XRP ledger integration done soon. Like, this can't be a thing where the XRP ledger integration is kind of left on the back burner. You know, it says later, like when later, you know. So I'd definitely like to see a clear update to know that's also been integrated. Now, look, they are saying they will. It's not like they haven't said that they'll do it. They have. So, again, I will take it at face value. I don't think they're going to be lying about that. But yeah, like, you know, I can accept that Ethereum's the bigger network, so I get it. They've actually issued a lot more RLUSD on Ethereum as well. So I do understand it. I'm not trying to just completely shoot this down. But we want this to be on the XRPL primarily. And to be honest with you, that's what Ripple should want ultimately, because that's going to help them because they hold the most XRP. So I'm not even just saying it just from, you know, the retail perspective. It makes sense for Ripple to want this. So this is why, again, I'm not going to doubt it too much, because I said this before, like, if they're going to keep pushing everything on Ethereum over their own blockchain, well, not their blockchain, but over the XRP blockchain, where they have the escrow and have the most to gain from XRP's adoption, you like, to me, you're working backwards. If that's what they're thinking, like, I get it. I know Ethereum is a big network and they can still make revenue. I'm not going to try and deny that. Like, they will still make revenue, whether it's on Ethereum or on the XRP ledger. But if you guys really want XRP to be successful, like, this is my thing, right? Just my opinion. If I was Ripple, I probably would have wanted it on the XRP ledger first. That's just my perspective, because I would be thinking, I want the integration to be on XRP ledger first, so people are using it via the XRP network. So I'd actually rather put the Ethereum RLUSD out later on. You know, that's the way I would be thinking, but I don't want to act like I'm this huge, you know, business savvy, you know, like I just know there could be a huge logic to why they've done this, and it could just be, for example, they've got so much more RLUSD minted on Ethereum, because I know that is the truth. Like I know there's way more RLUSD on Ethereum than there is on the XRP ledger. So it could just be like a volume thing. It could be, you know, like we haven't got enough RLUSD minted on the XRP ledger to be able to handle the kind of demand that we'll get from Binance. So we have to use Ethereum. So I am trying to be very objective here. I'm not just trying to say, hey, just, you know, you guys are terrible, you should just use XRP. I am trying to be very like thinking this all the way through and thorough with my thought process. But yeah, like I say, as long as they do integrate XRP at a later date, cool. And when I say a later date, like I don't want this to be like a year down the line. Like I'm talking like within like the next month or so, I'd think. That's what I would like, ideally. Obviously, this is just what I would like. But as long as that happens, then fair enough, because I wouldn't say that they should be limiting themselves. I think that would be silly as well. Like I do think they should be able to put the RLUSD on the Ethereum as well on Binance. I think that's a fair thing to do. I'm not knocking them for that. But if it was literally only Ethereum, if they only accepted it to be on Ethereum, I'd have to question that. I really would. I'd have to be like, why are you doing this? Because yes, okay, you are going to make money via the stablecoin, but you're really selling yourself short with XRP. You know? So overall, look, we'll take the victory in this, like, because I assume that XRP will be integrated at a later date. Again, I'm not disputing that. But yeah, let's get that done. So, good news, very positive, you know, RLUSD adoption, and hopefully, obviously, we get the XRP version of it very soon as well. So, that would be great. You know, if we've got that type of volume coming from that kind of exchange, that's going to do big things. And as I say, I think once people get the choice and they see, okay, how much is it going to cost for me to do it via this way instead of this way? You know, and I think when they see the difference of doing it via Ethereum compared to doing it via XRP, and they see the price difference that they'll save in fees, I think XRP will be the obvious choice. You know, that's what I think. And that's why I say I would like to get it done sooner rather than later, because I think once they see there's an option, they're not just sticking with Ethereum. It's like, okay, I can see the difference now. Like, yeah, that's the clear choice I'll go down. It's way cheaper. And it'll be way faster too. You know, you won't have to worry about it potentially failing and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's just the better option, of course. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes, but I just thought I'd go. But, yeah, we'll see how this goes. But as I say, I thought I'd just discuss this because I don't think everybody knows this. So I think everybody's just going along the lines of, hey, this is great. And it's all, you know, happy days. But, yeah, we need to know about the XRP integration. So that's just the part of it that I wanted to share with you guys. Okay, that's my thoughts. Hope this has helped. Thank you very much for watching this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And hit that bell. Take care.